The 2024 U.S. presidential election marked a pivotal moment in American political history, with Donald J. Trump securing a remarkable comeback to the White House. While traditional campaign strategies such as rallies, debates, and television appearances played a role, a significant factor in Trump's victory was his embrace of alternative media, particularly podcasts and live streaming platforms. At the heart of this innovative strategy was an unlikely figure, Barron Trump, the former president's 18-year-old son. As a first-year student at New York University's Stern School of Business and a member of Generation Z, Barron brought a fresh perspective to his father's campaign, advising him to appear on popular podcasts and live streams that resonated with younger, digitally native audiences. His recommendations, described as ratings gold by senior campaign advisors, helped Trump connect with a demographic often overlooked in traditional political outreach, young male voters. This article explores Barron's role in shaping Trump's 2024 campaign, the podcasts he recommended, their impact on Gen Z, and the broader implications for the evolving landscape of political communication, the rise of podcasts in political campaigns, the shift from traditional to alternative media in the 2016 and 2020 elections. Cable news networks like CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC were considered kingmakers, with their primetime shows shaping public discourse and influencing voter perceptions. However, by 2024, the media landscape had shifted dramatically. According to a report by Poynter, over 100 million Americans listen to podcasts at least once a week, making them a powerful medium for reaching diverse audiences. The decline in cable news viewership, CNN, for instance, lost half its election night audience from 2020 to 2024, highlighted a growing distrust in traditional media and a preference for unfiltered, long-form content. Podcasts, with their conversational style and ability to bypass mainstream media gatekeepers, offered candidates a direct line to voters. Donald Trump, known for his media-savvy approach, recognized this shift early on. Unlike previous campaigns that relied heavily on television appearances, Trump's 2024 strategy leaned into platforms like YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Spotify, where younger audiences consume content. This pivot was not accidental but a calculated move driven by the insights of his youngest son, Barron, who understood the cultural pulse of Gen Z and the power of digital influencers. Why podcasts? Matter podcasts have a unique ability to foster intimacy and authenticity, qualities that resonate with younger voters who are skeptical of polished political messaging. Unlike traditional news interviews, which often involve adversarial questioning, podcasts feature supportive, conversational exchanges that allow candidates to showcase their personalities. For Trump, whose bombastic style thrives in unscripted settings, this format was ideal. Long-form interviews, often lasting an hour or more, enabled him to discuss a wide range of topics, from policy to personal anecdotes, while connecting with audiences on a human level. The appeal of podcasts lies in their accessibility and relatability. Hosts like Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, and Adin Ross command millions of followers, many of whom are young men who feel alienated by mainstream media. These platforms often cater to the manosphere, a term describing online communities focused on male interests such as sports, gaming, and fitness. By appearing on these shows, Trump tapped into a demographic that was both politically influential and difficult to reach through conventional channels. Barron Trump's role as a Gen Z advisor and unlikely campaign strategist at just 18 years old, Barron Trump emerged as an unexpected but pivotal figure in his father's 2024 campaign. Unlike his older siblings, Donald Jr., Ivanka, Eric, and Tiffany, who have long been active in Trump's political endeavors, Barron had remained largely out of the public eye, shielded by his mother, Melania Trump. However, as a first-time voter and a member of Gen Z, Barron brought a unique perspective to the campaign, understanding the digital habits and cultural preferences of his peers. According to a Time magazine report, Trump campaign chair Susie Wiles tasked advisor Alex Bruzwitz with compiling a list of podcasts for the candidate to appear on. When Bruzwitz presented his suggestions to Trump, the former president instructed him to consult Barron first, asking, "Have you talked this over with Barron?" This directive underscored Barron's influence, as Trump trusted his youngest son's judgment to navigate the world of online influencers and digital media. Barron's recommendations were not arbitrary. As a college freshman immersed in the digital culture of his generation, he was attuned to the platforms and personalities that held sway with young voters. His suggestions included shows hosted by Adin Ross, Logan Paul, Theo Vaughn, the Nelk Boys, and Joe Rogan, among others. These platforms, known for their large, predominantly male audiences, became the cornerstone of Trump's media strategy, allowing him to reach millions of viewers and listeners. The Ratings Gold strategy senior Trump campaign advisor Jason Miller praised Barron's podcast picks as absolute ratings gold that's broken the internet. This hyperbole was not without merit. Trump's appearances on these platforms garnered massive viewership, with individual episodes racking up millions of views on YouTube, Spotify, and other platforms. For example, Trump's 3-hour interview with Joe Rogan on the Joe Rogan Experience amassed over 50 million views, while his livestream with Adin Ross peaked at 580,000 concurrent viewers. These numbers dwarf the audiences of traditional cable news broadcasts, highlighting the effectiveness of Barron's strategy. Barron's influence extended beyond mere recommendations. He and his friend Bo Loudon, an 18-year-old conservative influencer, helped navigate the campaign through the complex world of online personalities. Loudon, who described himself as Trump's young gun, played a complementary role, connecting the campaign with streamers and podcasters like Adin Ross. Together, Barron and Loudon ensured that Trump's appearances were tailored to resonate with the very online community, a group that consumes content primarily through digital platforms rather than traditional media. Barron's personal touch. Barron's involvement was not limited to strategic advice. During Trump's interview with Adin Ross, the former president mentioned Barron's admiration for the streamer, saying, "My son Barron says hello. He's a big fan of yours." This personal endorsement added authenticity to Trump's appearances, signaling to younger audiences that the candidate was in tune with their culture. Similarly, during his interview with Theo Vaughn, Trump referenced Barron's fandom, noting, "Your thing is going really great. My son's a big fan of yours." These moments humanized Trump, presenting him as a father who valued his son's insights and was willing to engage with the platforms his son admired. The podcasts that defined Trump's 2024 campaign. Adin Ross, the live-streaming sensation. One of Barron's most impactful recommendations was for Trump to appear on Adin Ross's live stream on the platform Kick. Ross, a 23-year-old streamer known for his gaming content and controversial collaborations, commands a massive following among Gen Z men. Despite his polarizing reputation, having been banned from Twitch for unmoderated content and associating with figures like Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes, Ross's platform offered Trump access to a highly engaged, youthful audience. The August 2024 live stream at Mar-a-Lago was a cultural moment, drawing between 400,000 and 550,000 concurrent viewers. Ross gifted Trump a customized Tesla Cybertruck emblazoned with "Make America Great Again" and a gold Rolex watch, gestures that sparked both admiration and scrutiny for potential campaign finance violations. Trump's relaxed demeanor during the stream, including a moment where he joined Ross in his signature herky-jerky dance, resonated with viewers, who appreciated the unscripted, playful interaction. The stream's viral clips circulated widely on TikTok and YouTube, amplifying Trump's reach among young voters. Barron's decision to recommend Ross was strategic. As Trump noted, Barron said, "Dad, he's really big," acknowledging Ross's influence among Gen Z. The livestream's success demonstrated Barron's understanding of how to leverage controversial yet popular figures to generate buzz and connect with disaffected young men. Joe Rogan, the podcast powerhouse. Perhaps the most significant of Barron's recommendations was Trump's appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience, the world's most popular podcast with an estimated 14.5 million Spotify followers. Rogan, a former UFC commentator and comedian, appeals to a broad audience of young and middle-aged men through his long-form, conversational interviews. His endorsement of Trump the day before the election was a game-changer, amplifying the former president's message to millions of listeners. The 3-hour interview, which aired in late October 2024, covered topics ranging from policy to personal anecdotes, allowing Trump to showcase his charisma and relatability. With over 50 million views on YouTube alone, the episode became a cultural touchstone, reinforcing Trump's appeal among voters who valued Rogan's independent, anti-establishment stance. Barron's foresight in recommending Rogan highlighted his ability to identify platforms that could sway undecided voters, Theo Von, Logan Paul, and the Nelk Boys, capturing the Bro Vote. Barron's podcast strategy extended to other influential platforms, each catering to distinct segments of the Gen Z and millennial male demographic. Theo Von's This Past Weekend podcast, with 3.38 million YouTube subscribers and 7.2 million Instagram followers, offered a blend of humor and heartfelt conversation. Trump's appearance on the show, which garnered 15.5 million views, featured a candid discussion about addiction, with Trump asking Vaughn about his personal experiences, a moment that humanized the candidate and resonated with listeners. Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast, Barron's first recommendation, marked the beginning of Trump's podcast tour in June 2024. The episode, which discussed topics like alien life forms, attracted 6.7 million views and introduced Trump to Paul's young, pop-culture-savvy audience. Similarly, the Nelk Boys' Full Send podcast, known for its prankster content and massive following, provided Trump with a platform to connect with bro culture. The Nelk Boys also supported Trump offline, leading a $20 million Get Out the Vote effort targeting fraternity houses and college football tailgates. These appearances, orchestrated by Barron, allowed Trump to tap into the manosphere, a loosely defined online community of young men interested in sports, gaming, and hypermasculine content. By engaging with these platforms, Trump reached voters who were not traditional conservatives but were drawn to his unfiltered, anti-establishment persona. The impact on Gen Z and young male voters. A demographic shift. One of the most striking outcomes of Trump's 2024 campaign was his success among young male voters, particularly those aged 18 to 29. Exit polls showed Trump winning this demographic by a 28-point margin, a significant improvement over his 2020 performance, where he trailed Joe Biden by 24% among Gen Z voters. This shift was particularly pronounced among white men, a group that Barron's podcast strategy explicitly targeted. The manosphere proved to be a fertile ground for Trump's campaign. Young men, feeling disillusioned by economic challenges, cultural shifts, and mainstream media narratives, gravitated toward Trump's brash, unapologetic style. Podcasts like The Joe Rogan Experience and Adin Ross's Livestream offered a space where these voters could see Trump as one of the brothers, engaging in conversations about UFC, video games, and other topics that resonated with their interests. The power of memes and viral content. Barron's strategy leveraged not only the podcasts themselves but also the viral potential of their content. Clips from Trump's appearances were shared widely on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, reaching millions of viewers beyond the initial broadcasts. For example, moments from the Adin Ross live stream, such as Trump's dance and the Cybertruck gift, became meme-worthy content that amplified his appeal among younger audiences. This secondary circulation was a key factor in Trump's ability to dominate online conversations and counter the mainstream media's narrative. The campaign's focus on memes and influencers marked a departure from traditional political advertising, which often relies on scripted ads and formal interviews. As digital communications strategist Tammy Gordon noted, this election is where influencers as news sources have really matured into a place where campaigns have real outreach programs and treat them almost like segments of the media. Barron's understanding of this dynamic allowed the campaign to harness the power of organic, user-generated content to reach voters who were unlikely to watch CNN or read the New York Times, contrasting with Kamala Harris's approach. While Trump's campaign embraced the podcast revolution, Vice President Kamala Harris's strategy was more cautious and traditional. Harris appeared on podcasts like Call Her Daddy, which targets young women, and All the Smoke, popular with young, non-white men, but her engagement with alternative media was limited compared to Trump's. Her decision to decline an invitation to appear on the Joe Rogan Experience was particularly notable, as it left a gap that Trump exploited to dominate the platform's massive audience. Harris's campaign focused on traditional Hollywood endorsements and appearances on shows like Saturday Night Live and events with figures like Oprah Winfrey and Lady Gaga. While these efforts resonated with some voters, they failed to match the viral impact of Trump's podcast appearances. The contrast highlighted the effectiveness of Barron's strategy in targeting a demographic that Harris's campaign struggled to reach, the broader implications for political communication. The decline of legacy media. Trump's 2024 victory underscored the declining influence of legacy media. As Elon Musk declared on X, "You are the media now," reflecting a growing sentiment that traditional news outlets have lost their monopoly on public discourse. Conservative commentators like Matt Walsh went further, proclaiming, "Legacy media is officially dead." While these claims may be exaggerated, the data supports a shift. Cable news audiences shrank dramatically, while podcasts and social media platforms saw unprecedented engagement during the election cycle. Barron's podcast strategy capitalized on this trend, bypassing mainstream journalists who often challenged Trump with adversarial questions. Instead, he appeared on platforms where hosts were more likely to engage in supportive interactional behavior, such as laughing, nodding, and expressing agreement. This allowed Trump to present himself as relatable and authentic, free from the scrutiny of traditional media. The rise of the podcast election. The 2024 election has been dubbed the first podcast election by some analysts, a testament to the medium's growing influence. Podcasts offered candidates a low-risk, high-reward platform to connect with voters in a way that felt personal and unfiltered. For Trump, this format played to his strengths, allowing him to dominate conversations with his stream-of-consciousness style and larger-than-life personality. The success of Barron's strategy suggests that podcasts will play an even larger role in future campaigns. As Ariel Shapiro, a journalist covering the podcast industry, noted, it would be a mistake for future campaigns to ignore or neglect podcasting as a vehicle for their candidates. The medium's ability to reach niche audiences, foster authenticity, and generate viral content makes it a powerful tool for political communication. Risks and criticisms. While Barron's strategy was undeniably effective, it was not without risks. Many of the podcasters and streamers Trump appeared with, such as Adin Ross and the Nelk Boys, have controversial reputations. Ross, for instance, has been criticized for hosting white supremacists and making homophobic remarks, while the Nelk Boys have collaborated with figures like Andrew Tate. Aligning with such personalities risked alienating moderate voters, but it also amplified Trump's appeal among the edgelord demographic, young men who embrace provocative, anti-establishment content. Questioning on these platforms allowed Trump to make unchallenged claims, such as denying his 2020 election loss. While this played well with his base, it raised concerns about the spread of misinformation in an unregulated media environment. Critics argue that the podcast format, with its emphasis on friendly conversation, undermines the accountability typically provided by traditional journalism. X posts and public sentiment. The role of Barron Trump in shaping his father's podcast strategy was widely discussed on X, where users praised his influence and credited him with helping secure Trump's victory. Below are some notable sentiments expressed on the platform. At Chicago One Ray, December 17, 2024, Barron gave Trump the idea of going on TikTok and several podcasts as a way of reaching young voters, and it worked. Trump got 34% of the 21 through 29 years old vote. How about a like for America's favorite son, Barron Trump? At Fox News, December 1, 2024, Bright Barron. John Morgan hailed Barron Trump's advice to his father to go on Joe Rogan's show and other popular podcasts leading up to the election, highlighting how critical the strategy was in capturing young, male voters. Beating VP Harris. At The Fernandes, January 24, 2025. Eric Trump confirmed it directly. Barron was certainly the one that suggested he go on some of the very young podcasts. This wasn't just another campaign strategy. It was about to change the entire political landscape. At Amuse, November 7, 2024, the unsung hero of the 2024 election might just be Barron Trump, who advised his father which podcasts to appear on. Barron Trump, the podcast consigliere. These posts reflect a growing recognition of Barron's behind-the-scenes role, with users describing him as a consigliere and a bright strategist who understood the importance of reaching young voters through non-traditional channels. The sentiment on X underscores the cultural impact of Barron's contributions, with many viewing him as a key architect of Trump's success among Gen Z. Barron's influence beyond podcasts. A Gen Z perspective. Barron's role extended beyond recommending specific podcasts. His understanding of Gen Z's media consumption habits, favoring platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch over traditional television, shaped the campaign's broader digital strategy. Trump's increased presence on TikTok, another suggestion attributed to Barron, helped him connect with younger voters who spend hours scrolling through short-form videos. This multi-platform approach ensured that Trump's message reached audiences across different digital ecosystems. Collaboration with Bo Loudon. Barron's partnership with Bo Loudon, a young conservative influencer with a significant online following, amplified his impact. Loudon, who described himself as a friend of Adin Ross and other streamers, facilitated connections between the campaign and digital personalities. Potential for future political involvement. Barron's success in 2024 has sparked speculation about his future in politics. While he has remained largely private, avoiding interviews and public appearances, his strategic acumen suggests a potential for greater involvement in his father's administration or future campaigns. Some commentators, like those at Axios, have noted that Trump's success with younger voters could have lasting implications for the MAGA movement, potentially positioning Barron as a future leader. Critical analysis, strengths and limitations. Strengths of Barron's strategy. Targeting an underserved demographic. By focusing on young male voters, Barron's strategy addressed a gap in traditional political outreach. Gen Z men, particularly those in the manosphere, were a key demographic that helped Trump secure his first popular vote victory, leveraging viral content. The campaign's use of podcasts and live streams generated viral moments that extended Trump's reach far beyond the initial broadcasts. This organic amplification was critical in a media environment dominated by social media algorithms, authenticity and relatability. The unscripted nature of podcasts allowed Trump to present a more authentic, relatable version of himself, countering the mainstream media's often negative portrayal, limitations and challenges. Risk of association with controversial figures. Appearing on platforms hosted by figures like Adin Ross, who has been linked to white supremacists and misogynists, carried reputational risks. While these appearances energized Trump's base, they may have alienated moderate voters. Lack of accountability. The friendly, non-adversarial nature of podcast interviews allowed Trump to make unchallenged claims, raising concerns about misinformation. For example, his assertion to Joe Rogan that he didn't lose the 2020 election went unquestioned, potentially reinforcing false narratives among listeners. Limited reach to other demographics. While effective with young men, the podcast strategy was less successful in reaching women and minority voters, who remained more aligned with Harris. This narrow focus could limit its applicability in future campaigns. Conclusion. Barron Trump's podcast picks were a game-changer in the 2024 presidential election, helping his father connect with Gen Z and young male voters in a way that traditional media could not. By recommending platforms like Adin Ross's live stream, The Joe Rogan Experience, This Past Weekend, Impulsive, and Full Send, Barron demonstrated a keen understanding of his generation's media habits and cultural preferences. His strategy, described as ratings gold and credited with breaking the internet, leveraged the power of alternative media to amplify Trump's message and secure a critical demographic. The success of this approach marks a turning point in political communication, highlighting the growing influence of podcasts and digital influencers in shaping public opinion. However, it also raises questions about the risks of aligning with controversial figures and the lack of accountability in non-traditional media. As the first podcast election, 2024 sets a precedent for future campaigns, with Barron Trump emerging as an unlikely but pivotal figure in redefining how candidates reach voters in the digital age. Whether Barron will continue to play a role in politics remains to be seen, but his contributions in 2024 have already left an indelible mark. As ex-users have noted, he may well be the unsung hero of Trump's victory, a testament to the power of a Gen Z perspective in navigating the complexities of modern political campaigns.